Hello everyone, natlan is coming in just a few weeks, and while I've already extensively covered the upcoming character kits and changes that are coming in 5.0, aside from them and of course natlan, which is a new region to explore, there are also some significant quality of life updates as well as changes coming to the Spiral Abyss and Imaginarium Theater releasing as well. There are a ton of miscellaneous updates, some of which I don't think are too important, so I will focus on the main ones here. As I'm making this video, the official livestream is releasing in a couple of days, which will likely show and clarify some of the updates that I'm going to mention. However, I think it's nice to know some of this stuff ahead of time, and I actually doubt that the live stream will mention some of the details that I will go over right now from what we currently know from pre-release information. So without further ado, let's cover the new quality of life updates and endgame changes. I think one of the biggest updates that is coming to 5.0 is that there is news of an artifact selector, which is finally coming in Genshin Impact. Now, if you've played Honkai Star Rail, then you know that those games actually have some kind of artifact selector where you get several of a certain item. It's pretty rare. You can consume one of those items and you can create an artifact of your choice. So for example, if you play Honkai Star, you can choose an energy recharge rope instantly, which is pretty rare, or speed boots. And I think generally players find this very helpful because, as I said, some of these main stats are really rare and sometimes you just want to get it over with, get that main stat that you want. However, one of the biggest flaws is that you can't choose your substats. So you could just roll an energy recharge rope and you just get some trash substats and then be like, well, whatever, I just have to go with it, right? From what we know of the Genshin equivalent coming in 5.0, this artifact selector will be better than this. According to current information, Genshin's artifact selector will allow you to choose the main set as well as two substats that you want. So for instance, if you choose, let's just say, a hydro damage goblet, you can choose crit rate and crit damage on your goblet, which is kind of insane. However, there are some decently big caveats to this. From what we know so far, you can't just use this artifact selector gadget to craft the artifact that you want. This gadget actually requires a special currency, and this currency comes from either leveling up the natlan offering. So you know, like for example, the Fontaine has the fountain where you offer some stuff and then you get some materials. There's going to be a special material you get from the natlan offering, and that material is used as currency for you to actually use this artifact selector. And this currency also comes from destroying and converting your actual artifacts. Similar to how in Star Rail you can kind of disenchant your artifacts to either artifact XP or the special currency used to actually craft artifacts, they're going to be adding the same system here. You can disenchant the artifacts for the artifact XP potions, which finally, thank God, like this is going to be really helpful for just consolidating your inventory space. But also you can disenchant your artifacts for this special material that you can use to actually use the artifact selector. And it seems like in order for you to actually choose the two desired substats that you want, you're going to have to spend more currency. We don't know how much currency that you actually need. It might actually be a lot, but the weird thing is that even though we get the currency from the natlan offering and apparently disenchanting artifacts, we apparently only get this special item to use the artifact selector twice. Once is in the paid battle pass version, so if you don't pay, then you don't actually get this currency. The second one is currently unknown. So there is some kind of contradictory information, or maybe something that we don't understand, because it seems like the currency used to actually make the artifact is rare, but also it says that you can just disenchant artifacts for it. So maybe you actually need to disenchant like 100 artifacts or so to actually get one of this currency. Again, pre-release information, there's a lot of info still in the air and we just need more details for this quote-unquote upgraded version of an artifact selector. Nevertheless, I'm glad that we actually just have an artifact selector. It's been kind of a long time. There are other games have it, so it doesn't make sense that Genshin doesn't have it. Now of course you could still get your elemental damage goblet, crit damage, and it just doesn't roll anything at all, but still just getting the chance of a double crit stat, for instance, is still pretty good. Now on the topic of artifacts, as you know, whenever there is a new region, they're adding more artifacts to the Strongbox. So for instance, when Fontaine came out, we were able to craft the Inazuman artifacts such as Emblem, Shimenawas, etc. So as per usual, with the release of natlan, we're going to be able to craft the Sumeru artifacts that released. So for example, you can craft some Deepwood, you can craft some Flower of Paradise Lost, and etc. However, the interesting thing is that on top of the Sumeru artifacts that you can Strongbox now, they're adding specifically Maruchusi Hunter and Golden Troop to this list as well in 5.0. And just Maruchusi Hunter and Golden Troop, none of the other Fontaine artifacts just yet. And I find this kind of weird because obviously this is just not part of the pattern, but it definitely is very good for maybe newer players or players just wanting to progress their account faster, because Maruchusi Hunter and Golden Troop are pretty good artifact sets. On top of that, they are somewhat revamping the battle pass to make it better. Now I'm a free-to-play player, so I don't actually get the battle pass, but just looking at what you can get from the battle pass, currently you can only get, like for example, if you click on this box, you can only get the Fontaine books here, And if you click on this box, then you can only get the Sumeru books here. Well, with patch 5.0, they're changing it so that each of these boxes, you can just choose any type of talent books that you want, which is like, seems kind of obvious and it should have been there beforehand, but you know what? Great change. Better late than never, I guess. And the biggest update is that they're introducing this thing called a Battle Pass plan. Now, in the Battle Pass plan, you can kind of choose the actual materials that you want from the Battle Pass. So just as an example, you can see that the base materials that you get are the XP books, the weapon XP, and the Mora. Now in 5.0, they are introducing a fourth material that you can get, and that's the artifact XP potions, which in my opinion is a really good material to get. So how they're introducing it is that currently there's character XP, weapon XP, Mora, and then there's going to be a fourth one, artifact XP. There's 4 choices, right? Well, in 5.0, you can choose 3 of them, and then you'll be able to get those from the Battle Pass. So for instance, look at the amount of weapon XP I have. It's way too much, right? I don't need any more weapon XP. Well, now I can replace this with artifact XP, and you'll never see weapon XP again from the Battle Pass. You can just get artifact XP instead, which is a great upgrade. Even small updates like this just makes, for example, this Battle Pass better and just character progression easier. They're also introducing some quality of life to the Overworld as well. For instance, Overworld enemies in general will just drop more materials now. Here are the percentages based from HOYO-MiX, showing the increase in materials at the same world level. In addition, they're adding the ability for you to look for local specialties in the in-game map. So for instance, if you are out of Parisaras in 5.0, you can go to the Parisara or just any local specialty in general, click on the tab where it says go to collect, and it will show on the map the general area where you can collect those materials. Now obviously you could use the interactive map, but in-game quality of life updates like this are just nice in general. Next, some various small updates. They're increasing the amount of map pins you can have from 200 to 250, so that's always nice. For newer players or maybe players that just haven't kept up, you can access Natlan after finishing the main story of Mondstadt, so very quick. You just have to finish Mondstadt. That's pretty easy. There's no like Inazuma story gate lock or anything. You can just immediately go to the new area if you're just returning player. In a similar vein of update, if your stamina limit is less than 240 and you explore Natlan, the Natlan Statue of 7 can increase your stamina limit. Now it's not going to increase the stamina limit of us veteran players that already have it maxed out, but for instance, if you just came into the game and you've explored Mondstadt and got some of your stamina increased, you don't have to necessarily go into explore Leeway in order to get the rest of your stamina. Next, they're increasing the amount of name cards and characters that you could showcase on your profile. So I'm definitely going to use this to flex more of my characters at. For all you teapot enjoyers, the load limit was also increased again, so you can place more decorations in your Serena teapot. And lastly, they are finally introducing World Level 9 in Genshin Impact. Finally, I've been waiting for this for a while. World Level 9 will be unlocking at AR 58. At World Level 9, the Overworld mob's HP is about 1.5 times of World Level 8. Enemies will drop about 1.5 times more materials than World Level 8, and at World Level 9, when you kill a boss for character ascension mats, currently right now, you still had a chance from 2 to 3, which I swear was the most annoying thing. Like, if I'm AR 60, why is there a chance for me to get 2 boss materials? That's absolutely insane. Well, with this new world level, you are guaranteed 3 with a chance of 4. The final updates that I want to cover that are coming to Natlan are for the endgame systems. First, regarding the Spiral Abyss. Depending on how far you got into the Spiral Abyss, players can now skip floors 9 and 10 of the Spiral Abyss and directly claim the rewards. Thank goodness. They have this type of system in Stario for skipping like 1 through 7, I believe, or 8, and I'm extremely glad that they're adding this in Genshin. But the biggest changes are coming to the Imaginarium Theater. Now previously, I have expressed my discontent about Imaginarium Theorem on release and explained the problems that I think it has. However, the upcoming changes and the potential promise in the future of Imaginarium Theater do, in my opinion, make the game mode better. First of all, the character requirement. Now currently, in order to access easy mode, you need 10 characters, normal mode you need 14 characters, in hard mode you need 18 leveled characters. In 5.0, they're slashing the character requirement by 2 for each mode. So easy mode will only require 8 characters, normal mode 12 characters, and hard mode 16 characters. Honestly, great change. One of the biggest criticisms of Imaginarium Theater at launch is that some of the character requirements are just so high, and the issue wasn't that you need to build more characters. I think horizontal progression for accounts is important, and it is a good incentive to just build more characters. However, the fact that you need to have a certain amount of characters leveled in order to actually just access the content did leave a poor taste in my mouth. So reducing this by 2 does help a ton. However, that's not all. The new character requirements that I just outlined are the minimum amount of characters that you can enter Imaginarium Theater in. They're changing it so that each difficulty mode has a range of characters that you can enter in. So for instance, if you want to go easy mode, the minimum amount of characters you need are 8, but you can go up to 10 characters. Normal mode, you can go from 12 to 14 characters. And for for hard mode, you need a minimum of 16 characters to enter, but you can bring up to 20. And if you bring more characters than what is minimally required, you'll get extra buffs. Now what buffs do you get? Well, you get extra Fantasia flowers to buy buffs during Imaginarium Theater, or just buy characters for you to add to your roster. All your characters will just get extra stats. And lastly, the more characters you have, the more you can upgrade your blessings. And this upgrading blessings part moves on to the other major change of Imaginarium Theater. Now currently in Imaginarium Theater, when you go for blessings, I feel like the blessings are very unimpactful. They're kind of random, and you kind of just choose one of the blessings, then you choose another blessing, and then choose another blessing, and you just kind of collect a mishmash of blessings. However, in 5.0, they're completely overhauling the blessings system. First, the blessings in 5.0 will be more reaction based. For instance, there are going to be buffs to vaporize reactions, bloom reactions, and burning reactions. And some of these buffs do look pretty strong. However, the main thing is that you can actually upgrade these specific blessings to be even stronger. So it's likely that you'll be able to use Fantasia flowers to instead be able to upgrade your current blessing that you think is really strong, rather than just getting a random amount of blessings that may or may not be useful to you, like what we have currently. And as I mentioned before, if you bring more characters than the minimum required amount, then you'll be able to upgrade your blessings more. So ultimately, they've lowered the minimum amount of required you need to actually access the game mode, which is great, increases accessibility of the game mode, but they're giving some incentive for you to actually build more characters than what is actually required. Because instead of having 16 characters for hard mode and you actually have 20 characters built, you can actually field 20, then you get extra buffs, which I think nicely rewards accounts with more horizontal progression. Now with the decreased character requirement and the more powerful buffs with the extra stats that you get if you bring more characters, it seems like Imaginarium Theater is getting easier. However, from current knowledge, I don't think this will be the case in the future. There is some data suggesting that there are more HP tiers being added to Imaginarium Theater, with some of those HP tiers being higher than the HP increase that mobs in Spiral Bliss Floor 12 get. There's also an attack tier apparently, so some of the speculation going around is that there could be some chambers with high HP bosses, but also some chambers with just swarms of enemies. So I think that's good to just emphasize different strengths of characters, some in AoE, some in single target. And lastly, while it isn't implemented yet, there is some data suggesting that instead of the 8 stages that currently are in hard mode right now, there could very easily be 10 chambers coming very soon. Won't be in 5.0 from what we know so far, but maybe in 5.1 there's going to be 2 extra chambers. So even though it seems like it's getting easier with the 5.0 changes, there are some early updates suggesting that the game mode would just generally get harder, at least in terms of the hardest difficulty of Imaginarium Theater. So although I was pretty hard on Imaginarium Theater on release, I'm glad that there are so many updates being made to Imaginarium Theater already, and they're already coming in 5.0. So it's good to see that the developers are looking at the game mode and are willing to make changes based on how the game mode feels so far. And those were all the main quality of life and endgame updates I wanted to cover that are coming in patch 5.0. Like I mentioned before, the live stream is coming out very soon, and what I mentioned is based on just pre-release information, so hopefully most of these are confirmed on the official live stream. Like I said, some of the details that I mentioned may not be covered in the live stream, so hopefully it actually is real and true. Overall, I'm glad that Genshin is finally adding quality of life updates after so many years of them just disregarding normal quality of life updates. Like, we're still missing artifact loadouts. Please, next update, artifact loadouts, anyone? So I don't know what's gotten into them. It could be because Wuthering Waves, it was a competitor, and that could be the case. However, in my opinion, I think the main reason is that with the release of Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero and some of their obvious quality of life updates, I think HOYOverse finally realized, well, yeah, Genshin kind of looks bad in comparison, so I think we have to finally add them so it doesn't look as bad in compared to our 2 other games. But hey, whatever gets the quality of life updates in, I'm happy for. If you thought this video was helpful, drop a like on the video, leave a comment if you have any thoughts on the updates, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more news and updates like these, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.